Today we're going to talk about something very, very important to us. As the Jewish community of Madrid and as Spanish citizens, we want to convey a very clear message that the issues at hand, the discrimination that we are suffering at the hands of a very radicalized left, needs to change. And it needs to change at different levels. It needs to change from a legislative point of view. And the only way for that to happen is by studying and analyzing the issues at hand. And this is what NGO Monitor and ACOM have done. And fortunately for us, there are people in Spain and in Israel that give importance to the actions that need to come. So with this, I'd like to leave the floor to Yair. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we're all ears.
Exactly a year ago, at the end of June 2016, a 13-year-old girl, Hallel Yafe Ariel, took part in a modern dance show in her community. Her dance routine was filmed, a tiny girl in a white outfit. The next day, she was at home in her bed. A terrorist entered, locked the door, walked into her room, and while she lay in their bed, he stabbed her again and again and again in her neck and chest until she died. A 13-year-old girl who only wanted to dance. These are the people supported by the BDS movement, people who intentionally murder children. If someone has no problem murdering children, do they have any problem lying? Their weapon is lies. They sell you a story that Israel indiscriminately kills Palestinians. Lie. Last year, an affiliate of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine received 199,988 euros from the Basque Agency for Development Cooperation. That is a public body funded by taxpayers here in Spain, and its funds are originally intended for international aid. An official affiliated of the PFLP, which shares senior members with the PFLP, whose founder and co-chair is a member of the PFLP, a terrorist organization, an affiliate which is nothing more than the political face of terror, got money from you, from Spanish taxpayers. This is only one example. We started today a process in your parliament. We stood together, and together we will lead the process through the Spanish parliament, which will end the transfer of money to BDS organizations who support terrorism and call to isolate Israel. El mundo no se divide en judíos y cristianos, como tampoco a cristianos o musulmanes. La división pasa por lo que están dispuestos a enfrentar el mal y la muerte, y por aquellos que callan. Os agradezco por estar junto a nosotros. Os doy las gracias por no callar.
NGO Monitor has been researching the activities of so-called human rights non-governmental organizations, NGOs, for years now, and it has been researching their work all over Europe and all over the world. But this report stands out in revealing alarming radicalization in Spain, in its foreign aid funding, radicalization in its political scene, and radicalization within its civil society. Many of the NGOs that are covered in this report incite to violence. Catalan NGO Novact invited Palestinian NGO activists Munter Amira and Manal Tamimi to a conference on preventing extremism. Tamimi continuously in social media, on her Twitter account, repeats blood libels and anti-Semitic statements, and let me just quote one. Vampire Zionists celebrating their Kibbura, the Yom Kippur day, by drinking Palestinian bloods. Yes, our blood is pure and delicious, but it will kill you in the end. The patterns of Spanish funding shown in our joint report point to a distinct ideological trend against Israel that is manifested in calls for the isolation of Israel and discrimination across the board, endorsement of violence against civilians, and promotion of libelous distortions. In 2015 alone, Spain funded 5.1 million euros that went directly to political NGOs that are active within the context of the Arab-Israeli conflict. As you know better than me, the level of decentralization in Spain is great. And actually what our research shows is that the money that was transferred by the decentralized authorities is twice as high as the funding that came from the central Spanish government. And it reaches almost the amount of 3 million euros in 2015 alone. The Andalusian Agency for International Development and Cooperation, on the other hand, is the single largest donor in Spain to such politicized NGOs. Spanish foreign aid has actually declined shortly, but overall funding to political NGOs active in the Arab-Israeli conflict has grown and become more radical. This is only being amplified and legitimized through active participation of some Spanish governmental officials and politicians in anti-Israel events. There is an increased awareness that the human rights field has been breached and is being manipulated to promote politicized agendas and, more dangerously, to whitewash violence and incitement. Language of hate, calls for violence, incitement, terror, they know no borders. And we must join forces in addressing what it seems to be the biggest challenge of the modern civilized world. And we at NGO Monitor look forward to further making our research available so concrete steps can be taken, hoping that eventually the language of peace will prevail.
España está financiando a organizaciones y actividades que niegan el derecho a Israel a existir. Van millones y millones de euros todos los años a financiar estas organizaciones, que de ese modo adquieren, por un lado, prominencia pública y por otra, unos medios inconmensurables precisamente para cambiar la narrativa que hemos hablado y para influir en esos municipios, en esas regiones y en ese Estado que nosotros precisamente fondeamos para que a su vez nos discriminen. Es un bucle diabólico. Hemos decidido que no solo vamos a trabajar en el aspecto político y en el aspecto mediático, tenemos que trabajar primero y lamentablemente en el aspecto legal. Tenemos presentadas más de 60 denuncias. ¿Creéis que ha parado ni un segundo su actividad? No. ¿Por qué? Porque está financiada. Esta gente vive de eso. Se ha creado una industria. Hay una industria del odio. Pedimos dos cosas. Pedimos que desde el punto de vista de las subvenciones no se pueda subvencionar a organizaciones que glorifican el terrorismo, que buscan la discriminación de ciudadanos o que directamente están asociadas con organizaciones terroristas. No se puede financiar. Segundo, que el receptor último de ese dinero que usan las organizaciones españolas para llevarlo a organizaciones como el Frente Popular de Liberación de Palestina, también sean auditadas y sean perseguidas y que en su caso tengan que devolver el dinero. ¿Qué menos? Y por eso la colaboración política en España es tan importante. Yo os hablo de esta industria de verdad diabólica. Una industria que mueve decenas de millones al año en España. No solo contra nosotros, por cierto, contra nuestra democracia en general. No nos vamos a rendir, seguimos saliendo en sus páginas web, nos siguen diciendo dónde vivimos, como os pasa a muchos de vosotros también por hacer lo que hacéis por el resto de los españoles, pero para nosotros también es una cuestión de subsistencia. Yo pienso en mis hijos, y aquí no nos van a echar, pero tenemos que presentar la pelea. Muchas gracias.